How long have you known?
I wasn't sure, okay? I didn't want to be a burden.
Well, you're a burden now, aren't you?
I'm gonna be a dad. Yeah.
Just when you thought no one could be more hated than Rachel Zegler, Bella Ramsey steps up and says, "Hold my beer." She was supposed to be the next big thing, an Emmy-nominated actress, a breakout star, a perfect fit for HBO's series The Last of Us. But just one season later, she's become the most hated actress in Hollywood. Not because of her bad acting, not because of a scandal or anything she actually did off-screen, but something fans considered far worse. She simply didn't look the part. But Bella Ramsey's career didn't begin with controversy. In fact, it began with tremendous praise. Her performance as Lyanna Mormont in the Game of Thrones series was widely applauded. She stole scenes, delivered ice-cold one-liners, and instantly became a fan favourite. Despite having only 9 minutes of total screen time, HBO had found something special. So when the network announced that Bella would be playing Ellie in the upcoming video game adaptation of The Last of Us, probably their most ambitious adaptation ever, it felt like a natural step forward, but almost immediately, everything fell apart. The problem? Fans didn't believe she looked anything like Ellie from the game. Not close, not similar, not even inspired by it. To them, Bella Ramsey was the wrong choice, the completely wrong choice. She didn't have Ellie's face, her charm, her delivery, her voice, and for many, that was enough to start what would become a full-scale internet campaign against her. Many believed that the role should have been given to Ashley Johnson, the actress who voiced Ellie in the Last of Us video game series. But the problem is that Ashley is 41 years old, so to be cast to play a teenage Ellie just wouldn't have looked realistic or authentic. The Reddit post started first, then the hate videos, and then the comments. Worst casting of all time, they've ruined the show, she looks like a foot. Nepotism, that's the only explanation. Despite never having acted in a single major project before Game of Thrones, Bella was now being accused of being a nepo baby, even though she has no famous relatives, no known Hollywood ties. People felt that her connection to HBO through Game of Thrones was enough to get her in the fast lane to be cast as Ellie in The Last of Us. And once that hate train starts rolling, it doesn't slow down. Bella's experience wasn't a new thing. In fact, it pretty much looked identical to what happened to Rachel Zegler. The difference is Rachel Zegler brought it on herself. She was cast as Snow White, one of the most iconic and legacy-driven characters in Disney history, and she decided to take a giant shit on it. She criticised the story, she called the prince a stalker, described the cartoon as weird, and even went as far as to say that she was traumatised by it and could only ever watch it once.
With a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
And as a result, she faced months of backlash. She was criticised for not looking the part, and she too had made the mistake, the fatal mistake, of having an opinion. Rachel was called ungrateful, woke, unlikable, and eventually she became despised. The two actresses weren't friends. They weren't involved in the same projects, but they were now connected by a common thread. They both had played characters that people cared a lot about, and they didn't do it the way the fans wanted. But then another factor that comes into play is the wokeness of Hollywood. Disney was ramming woke storylines down people's throats, and the fans expressed their opinion. And boy, did they express it. Snow White went on to become one of the biggest flops in Disney's history, so much so that they even tried to re-release it, aiming it at a broader audience, which included the Mother's Day weekend, and it still flopped again. So HBO, watching this, said, "Hold my beer," and stepped into the frame. During season 2, in a scene between Ellie and Dina, Dina tells Ellie that she is pregnant, to which she replies, "I'm going to be a dad."
I'm gonna be a dad.
The memes were absolutely brutal, and viewership of The Last of Us tumbled. To put it into perspective, the season 1 finale of The Last of Us was watched by 8.2 million people. However, the season 2 finale was watched by 3.7 million. A huge drop of fans showing they simply did not like the direction the story was going. But here's the ironic part. Bella Ramsey's performance was good. I mean, critics loved it, she was nominated for awards, and HBO stood by her. In fact, even some fans came around after seeing her take on the character. But at this point, it didn't matter. For many viewers, her face alone ruined the immersion. To them, she was never Ellie, just someone pretending. But things got worse. Bella wasn't just being criticized, she was being attacked. And I mean on every single platform. TikTok, Reddit, YouTube, X. People were dissecting her appearance, mocking her facial features, and spreading rumors about how she got the role. She was even being compared to a potato. There were even video essays with millions of views dedicated to the explanation of why Bella Ramsey was hard to look at, and eventually it got to her. Because of course it did. She's only 21 years old, so she decided to fight back. Earlier this year, Bella did something no one expected. After years of online abuse, she announced that she was consulting lawyers and actively considering lawsuits against the online trolls. The goal? To hold people legally accountable for what she described as relentless harassment. She posted publicly, "Criticism is fine, hate is not." The reaction was mixed. Some people praised her strength, others doubled down, calling her thin-skinned, entitled, or anti-free speech. But Bella didn't back down. For once, it felt like the hate wasn't going unanswered. Maybe the fans didn't hate Bella Ramsey because she was bad. They hated her because she was different, because she didn't fit the mental image that we'd spent years building. And in 2025, that's all it takes. You see, The Last of Us is an iconic video game, and any gamer will tell you it's perhaps one of the best they've ever played. So when you do a video game adaptation for television of one of the most iconic gaming series, there's going to be a lot of eyes on it. There's going to be a lot of opinions, and there's going to be a lot of criticism. I myself have played the game, and truthfully, Bella Ramsey doesn't look anything like the game's version of Ellie. And this is what started the whole debate in the first place. The internet doesn't forgive miscasts. It used to be enough to just act, but now you have to match. Not just emotionally, but visually, spiritually, and iconically. And when you don't, the fans will turn into a firing squad. Kelly Marie Tran, Rachel Zegler, Moses Ingram, and now Bella Ramsey. This isn't a one-off, it's a pattern. A character that doesn't align with fans' expectations, that's not feedback, it's fuel. And Hollywood, for some reason, keeps pouring gas on the fire by underestimating how much the fans care about the source material. The reality is The Last of Us is sacred ground. You don't cast Ellie wrong and walk away unscathed. Fans didn't want interpretation, they wanted replication. And instead, they got a version of Ellie that felt disconnected, unfamiliar, and at times completely misaligned with what made the original game so compelling. Bella didn't lose public support because she was controversial. She lost it because she couldn't convince the audience that she was Ellie. In today's entertainment landscape, you don't get to miss that target. Not when the character is that iconic and the fan base is that loyal. So, is Bella Ramsey the most hated actress in Hollywood? For now? Yes. But this isn't about her alone. This is what happens when you miscast a cultural icon. This is what happens when you ignore fan expectations in favor of fresh takes. And this is what happens when the audience feels shut out of the story that they helped to build. Bella Ramsey was handed the keys to one of the most beloved roles of the decade, but in the eyes of millions, she never unlocked it.